What's up, guys, and welcome to a episode of Crunch Time with Caitlin. In this episode, I wanted to talk briefly about my opinion of PED usage in baseball and all that, and guys like A-Rod and Barry Bonds and Clemens. Should they be in the Hall of Fame? And I just wanted to voice my opinion on all that. So today on Twitter, I was like, PED, usage players should be allowed in the Hall of Fame. And here's why. It's hypocritical if Major League Baseball, if they don't let them in. And here's why. The amount of money those players made for the owners, for baseball in general, the exposure they got, and then, at the end of the career, it's like, oh, well, you're not going to the Hall of Fame because you use PED usage. Like, that's just dumb. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, obviously, they cheated, and I mean, you had pitchers who were allegedly using steroids and all that, and you had some hitters using PED usage and all that stuff. So it's like, well, like, what balance does it kind of balance out for some players? Does it not? I mean, and baseball needs to kind of make a decision of, okay, do we allow players linked to it, yes or no? Because if they say yes, then fine. But you also have to realize that you're also affecting other people's potential Hall of Fame, ballots and all that stuff. For example, you get Mark McGwire getting 40% of a vote, or Roger Clemens getting 40% of the vote. And it's like, well, there was a fringe player who I think you need like 4 or 5% of a vote to continue on the ballot. Well, let's just say those guys weren't on the ballot. Maybe, someone like Kenny Lofton, who is now, I think he's ineligible to be a Hall of Fame player, because when he was on the ballot the first time, he never got the, X amount of votes to, continue. And I think that's extremely shitty. And that's why it's either you either have to let, guys like Bonds in, guys like A-Rod, who is going to retire next Friday, 4 home runs shy of 700. Mark McGwire, the amount of money Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa made for baseball in 1998. And you also have to remember that in 94 and 95 there was a lockout. So owners lost a shit ton of money. Baseball lost so much revenue because they didn't play a World Series in 94. And they only played 144 games in 95. So they lost a lot of money, which is why I think it's extremely hypocritical that it's like, well, these players made so much money, and we knew that a lot of these guys, they were on PEDs and they were using steroids, but it was like, well, that's fine because, they're making so much money for us. But then it's like, well, now, and then, the Mitchell report came out, and it's like, well, we have to be a moral arbiter of, that stuff. It's like, well, you made a shit ton of money off of the revenue and the ratings and all that stuff from all these top home run hitters and these top pitchers, and it's like, I mean, and how do you quantify the effects of PED usage? Someone like Mark McGwire, if he's not on PEDs, is he not going to hit, over 500 home runs? Without PED usage, is A-Rod not going to hit over 600 home runs? I mean, you have guys who aren't linked to, that aren't linked to anything. Guys like Jim Thome, guys like um, Griffey Jr., they have a shit ton of home runs. They were never linked to it. If anything, Griffey was always hurt. And it was like, well, but those guys did it clean, so they can realistically hit 600 plus home runs. It's like, wait a minute, this doesn't even make sense. I remember a clip, and it was from John Rocker, and I know he's a interesting figure, but he was talking about PED usage, and he was like, well, and I don't know, PED, steroid, it's all the same. Well, at least the way I'm explaining it. So sorry, I know there's differences, but he was explaining like it really didn't put anything on his fastball. It didn't make his slider, dip more. It was, hey, I could pitch 3 days in a row instead of just 2 days in a row. And maybe it helped players, get another contract. And I'm sure it helped a lot of, or it didn't help, a lot of fringe players who maybe, who did it the right way but never got their chance. But it's also like, if you're a top player, you were getting that chance anywho. So, I don't know. But that's just my opinion on it. Leave a comment down below. Tweet at me on Twitter. What do you guys think of PED usage and steroid usage? Should those players be in the Hall of Fame? And thank you for listening, and talk to you guys later.